Good morning. Kumlan Ablat Gemara. Today's daf is Daf Lamed Vov. We're concluding the third pedic of Zevachim. So basically, we learned the Mishnah yesterday, and we had an argument between Rabbi Yehuda and Chachamim, which we discussed a little bit earlier on in the Gemara, but now here's the Mishnah. And that is, if you learn the concept of pigul, where you shech the carbon and you have in mind that you'll eat it the wrong time or the wrong place. And what happens, instead of thinking that you're going to eat it the wrong time or spray the blood the wrong time, you said, I'm going to leave the food. I'm not going to spray. I'm not going to eat. I'm just not going to do anything with it. It's going to lie there, just sitting and resting. According to Chachamim, that's not the machshava that the Torah forbids you with pigul. According to Rabbi Yehuda, even that is called pigul as well. It's called hinuach, and it's pigul. The Gemara right there. So even that, so the Rabbi Yehuda holds that even hinuach is also called pigul. Then we continued that if you had in mind that you should spray in the wrong place in the Zebach, below the line, above the line, and all those things, or you had in mind that Talmudic people eat the next day, or that people are not Gemali this day, or that any other machshava psul does not ruin it at all, even according to Rabbi Yehuda. The only time Rabbi Yehuda argues is if you had in mind not to do anything with the blood. Okay, so only.
Sorry, you're still referring to the client, right?
Talking about the client, yeah. So we're talking about, or if somebody, or whoever shechts it as well, because whoever's kosher to do that particular avodah. So by not the person's ring, by them no. And so the only by machshava that ruins a carbon is chutzlas maneh, the wrong time, chutzlas mekaymeh, that you're going to eat it in the wrong place, or a carbon pesach and a carbon what do you call it? Chat, as he had in mind the Leilishma. Says the Gemara, Lamed Vav Amar Aleph. Says the Gemara, my time at Rabbi Yehuda. Why does Rabbi Yehuda hold that pigul encompasses not only if you're going to spray the blood the wrong time or eat it in the wrong place, but also if you can do nothing with it? I'm going to leave it till tomorrow, just to leave it there. How do you know that's called pigul? It isn't. Today, we have two psukim by Noiser. One pasuk says, don't leave it there until the morning. Because of Echadai, another pasuk says, Loi Yaniach, one by carbon taida and one by shlamim. Another one says about Pesach, Loi Yaniach mimenu abayker. Don't leave. Changes the word from lois asida to loyaniach and bechlal. It's redundant. We already know the concept. You're not allowed to leave. It can't be that it's talking about over here. Don't leave it till the following day. We already know. So to know the Indian machshavas, the chiddush here is not only if you leave it to the following day, you're just thinking about the machshava that you leave it for the following day is enough to make the carbon possible. So that's what the Yehuda's makir is. So says the Gemara. Because one pasuk is by Korban Pesach, one by Korban Taida. But we actually learn another din. We're up to Daf Lamed Vav, and what we're learning is Rabbi Yehuda, which we discussed before already. He says that pigul is not only if you're going to eat it the wrong time, the wrong place, but also if you are going to leave the meat for tomorrow. It's the wrong time, but he didn't say anything about eating, and that's also pigul. And we said we learned that from the extra pasuk lo yaniach, and we know already not allowed to leave it. There must be even thinking about leaving it. So we use that pasuk for another din altogether. We need for something altogether different. Like in Tanya, we learned that, but it says in the pasuk ubesar zevach toida shlamav, that the meat of the carbon toida shlamav, and then it says in the pasuk the day of the carbon you should eat it. And don't leave it until the following day. So it comes to teach all the same pasuk. Lo yinich men abayker is the end of that pasuk. So it says in this baraisa lamad, we learn a whole bunch of things. You know what we learn from this pasuk? How much zman? How long do you have to eat a carbon? We know that a carbon shlamim proper is 2 days and a night. How do you know all other kabbanas how long you can eat it for? So this very pasuk says b'yom kabbana yachal. That's it. You only have that day. So and you have, and you're not leave it till the morning, and so it's not 2 days, but it's 1 day and a night. Says the Gemara, la madness from this possible or not, la toidish and the because it says in the pasuk clear, b'yom kabana yachal, only that day. Now the question is chalipin. What happens if you do a tamura? Let's say you take another animal and say, I want to be like this one. How do you know that? And the din is that they both now consider the same carbon. So, or in a case where you lost your original animal and you took another animal in its place, and then you found the original one. So how do you know that the second one, the one that's the redundant one, how do you know it has the same din? It has to be eaten in the same day. or vlodas, an offspring from the carbon that you made. Tamuras, or you made a tamura. Minayin, how do you know the chalipin in the case here is not the tamura? Chalipin is where you lost the animal and then you replaced it and then you found it. How do you know also you only have one day? Tamulayim, it says in the pasuk, upsar. Extra word, upsad, and the flesh, to tell you I'm expanding it to other kabbanas as well. They also have a din, the same thing. All I had to say is a toidosa b'yem kabbani. What's upsad? So every word in that pasuk is extra. Okay, chatas v'ashim and I know chatas v'ashim also limited to a day and a night. Tamalim, it says zevach, those extra. Could have said v'toida b'yem kabbani yachal. So the word sad is extra, the word zevach is extra. So zevach expands to more kabbanas, even to chatas and shlamim, chatas and ashim. Within shlamim itself, you have a generic shlamim. Then you have a particular. The nazir has to bring a shlamim. He brings bread with it. The korban pesach. If you have you don't have enough meat on the korban pesach, then you bring a korban chagiga. Chagiga is yudalid. So we call that a shlamim. How do you know that those kabbanas also limited to a day and a night? Tamaloim. It says in the pasuk shlamab. That's all. That word is also extra. Could have said v'toidasa b'yem kabani achel. So psar is extra, zevach is extra, shlomo is extra. Teach you every single one of these commands. Lach made toida. Okay, what about the bread that comes with the shlamim by a that comes with the toida, chalas, and the chalas kim nozah. By nozah, there's not four types. Like korban toida, you have four different types. By a nozah, there's only two types. And you give one to the kohen, and the rest is for you. Minayin, how do you know they're also limited to day and night time? It says korban noi. All that is that says Taidasa b'yem yachol. By saying kabani, every word is extra. So what are you telling me that you learn from Lo Yiniach and Mena? You're learning out extra pasuk is all, and they teach you a machshav of hanocha. We need this kula current to be in Lo Yiniach. We need this pasuk to tell you that every one of these kabanas you're limited by day and night. Name. So you said we still could learn that. You know why? In kain lemakra loisasidu. Use the same word you use everywhere else. Loisasidu, nice. My Lo Yiniach. Okay, you want to learn all these kabbanas day and night, but why use the word lo yaniyach? You should have said lo yasirus. You know why? That even a machshava, you're not doing anything physically. Just machshava of leaving it is already considered pigul. That's what Abiyudah says. Says the Gemara Hotene, that makes sense. Remember in the Mishnah he said two dinim. If you had in mind lahaniach, leave it till tomorrow, not to eat it tomorrow, but still leave it. That's called pigul. And also, if you had in mind to take it out, physically take it out
of the chutzner.
Out of the chutzner. In other words, pigul normally is I had in mind to eat it outside. Here I didn't mind to eat it. I just had in mind to take it out. Says Abiyudah, that's also called. I'm expanding pigul. That's also called pigul chutzl mekayme. Even though you're not planning to eat it outside the place. How does you know that? It's nothing to do with lo yinirach. It
doesn't matter what you're going to do with them.
Yeah, but how do you know that? Because the Torah says that when we learn that the whole idea of pigul is all to do with eating. How do you know just taking it out, thinking about it is already called pigul? And you can't learn from this pasuk of lo yiniach is ma'ikal meimer, number one. But furthermore, time with the Rabbi Yehuda actually used to have ma'ikal pasuk. It's a svari. It's the whole thing's a svara. The Tanya, in fact, you see from his words. Rabbi Yehuda said to the Chacham, aren't you moida sheminichal mager shemach apostle? If let's say if you didn't, you left the flesh until tomorrow. Nothing machshav. You just left it. You agree that flesh is possible. No, so therefore the machshav of that is also possible. Isn't that what pigul is? Just like if you ate a korban chutz of money, it's possible. I mean, whatever you ate. So therefore the machshav of that is possible. Same thing here. If you had in mind just to take it out is possible. So therefore the machshav of that is possible as well. The obvious question is that every single psul by a korban, if you had that in mind, it should be possible as well. The more we'll ask in a minute. Is after time the whole thing is based on the svara. No, the lomali kra. We had kedusha the lomali kra svaru. It's a svara, and that's enough for the Yehuda. Sorry, it's to tell you the zman how long you can eat all these other kabbanas day and night. That's all. Said the Gemara, if the whole svara is that if something be'etzim, if you did it, it's us. So the machshav of that is also us. That's his word, and that's his svara. That's what pigul is. Just like pigul, puzzling you. So there's all these other cases in our Mishnah. Why doesn't Rabbi Yehuda argue? So the Gemara goes through each one and says, let's think about it. Remember, what happens by pigul is not just that if you would have eaten it outside is usher. The entire carbon becomes possible. I only had in mind to eat a kazayis of basar outside. Kazayis, what did we learned before? The entire carbon is possible. All these other cases, if you did it, whatever you did is awesome. doesn't in any way affect the carbon itself. If you did the zrika properly, you already had your kapara. We don't retrospectively unravel whatever you did. And that's why Rabbi Yehuda is going to say, tomorrow will say that each one of these things, the machshava doesn't pass it. That's one of the reasons. And we'll soon see some others. Behind you. Okay, let's go through each one. Which one do you want to say machshava should pass? This shayver is one of the cases was, if you had a mind to break the bones by a carbon pesach, or v'lechem menonot, to eat it when it's half cooked. Zivcha gufa mi mifsul. The carbon pesach you were yaitza. You were yaitza. You just the carbon itself doesn't become possible. You did the zikr, you had your kapara. So so what? When do we say pigul? Whatever if you would have done this, pigul means that the entire carbon becomes possible. Here, the entire carbon does not become possible. So the Gemara, excuse me. So the Gemara, sorry, I was going to place. Amanas. When we say over there, like Hanoch, if you leave it, we're talking about, you can say you're going to leave the blood until tomorrow. You're not going to spray the blood. You're going to leave it till tomorrow. That passes the whole carbon. You didn't do the matir. Because kamshki is a chama, dam nivskol b'shki is a chama, as we'll see. That's what we mark for mincha. So but shenken, if all these other things, as we'll see, only becomes possible whatever you did. The rest of the carbon is not affected. Okay, let's go right to the next part of the mission was if I say I'm making this carbon a condition that a Talmudic person should eat the carbon, or she akriveh to me, or a Talmudic person should be makabel or bring on mizbeach. Zivche gupa mi mifsul again. Whatever they eat, okay, but the carbon, whatever you did right, the zik anything else, that's done. It doesn't. It's not retrospective. So there's nothing to do with people. If I said that people are not gemalit should eat it, or they should be makam beyach. Zivcha gufa mi mifsul again doesn't affect whatever you did. Another word is kol kimine. You believe I make a condition. I want that somebody else's tummy is going to eat it. Who's going to listen to you? It's an aveda. Why would a Talmudic person eat it? You can't make a pigul negate to somebody else. Because I'm not odal. Although I would be a apostle coin. Then my kosher wouldn't do anything. I'm a kosher coin, and I'm having in mind that an odal should eat it, or a tummy. I'm not tummy because I'm tummy again. My kosher doesn't do anything. You have to be a qualified coin. So someone else. Can you force someone else to do an aveda? Not at all. So the shakatai nachronim. But what happens then if I said I'm shechting the carbon so that the zrika should be done tomorrow, but I had in mind another kohen should do the zikr tomorrow. What happens in that case here? Because I could do the zikr tomorrow as well. I could have done it. I could have included myself. In the case of tummy nodal, I can't include myself because I'm not tummy. I'm not odal. In this case over here, I am shaykh to do the zikr. Do we treat that like somebody else and therefore nothing happens, or do we say because I could have done it, therefore it does happen? Anyway, next case. What about dam b'dam absolutely? It says that you had in mind that you're going to mix this blood with other blood that's puzzle. The majority of the blood is going to be puzzle blood. Rabbi Yehuda, and it says later on, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to spray it. Rabbi Yehuda tamei. Rabbi Yehuda holds maybe l'chatchila should do, but if he did, it's no problem. We learned yesterday. Min b'mina, he holds is not mevatlet. On the contrary, reinforces it. So some of the blood is kosher blood. It's not diminished. Okay, the next part of the mission is the blood doesn't cancel blood. You had the wrong place on the line below the line of Yehuda. Again, why are you not a apostle? We had the whole discussion. If you put it on the wrong part of Mizbeach, do we say it's as if you did it, or not? Even though in certain cases it's not, because we say we need that. We said before, the blood is mechaper. But even if it's mechaper, you cannot eat the meat because you sprayed in the wrong place. So then we said, as far as pigul is concerned, to get chorus, you won't get chorus. Why not? Because when you get chorus, if the blood that you're going to spray is going to allow you to eat the meat, it has to be a davar hamatir. And here, it's not davar hamatir because it's not going to allow you to eat the meat. What about if you spray the blood in the wrong place? So we holds, being that we need makom shehei meshulish bedam bebasar uve'emurin. If you remember, we learned before. Wait, actually learned makom meshulish means in the times of the bummus, you could have whatever you had in mind. Now it's also it used to be a time that were permitted for the three things: for the dam, for the blood, for the meat to eat, and for the emurin, the fats. When the time of the bummus before the base of Mikdash, you could have done it all these things anywhere. But bifnim, you never can do the basar bifnim. So therefore, it's not included in pigul. There's the Gemara. Okay. That's why all these machshavas don't count. So Gemara, mi isle Rabbi Yehuda haisvara. Does Rabbi Yehuda hold takashol? You tell me Rabbi Yehuda holds if you bring the blood inside, there's no, if you had in mind, there's no pigul. Now that's a question. But Tanya, didn't we learn? It says, Rabbi Yehuda says the pasuk, you should not check the korban that has a mum. And then the pasuk says, kol davar ra. Anything bad. What does it come to add anything bad? Riba kan chatas sheshachte bedarim. A korban chatas, you have to shut on the north side of the mizbech. The three opinions we had there, but it has to be on the right side of the mizbech. And you shut it on the left side of the mizbech. Or a chatas, but look at the other case, shenichnes dama lifnim, if the chatas, you brought the blood inside, is possible. You shouldn't shech the korban having in mind to bring the blood inside. You just said that Rabbi Yehuda said you need mokum mishulish. So if you have a machshava to bring it inside, it chutz lifnim is not a problem. Rabbi Yehuda said that's a problem. So we're not talking about physically bringing the blood inside. We're talking about having a machshava of bringing the blood inside. And it's called a dovara. So the Gemara goes back, counters back. So what are you trying to tell me? That he doesn't hold it this sword or shlishi. No, but he holds that a machshava bringing inside is a problem. We learned elsewhere, but didn't we learn in the Mishnah? If you brought the blood in b'shaygig, kosher is kosher. Aber haben mezid brought in b'mezid, puzzle is puzzle. We're talking about you sprayed it on the mizbech. If you did it b'mezid, it is puzzle. The kaimlam b'shechipa, not only you brought it inside, you can't just bring it inside, and you had to actually spray the inner mizbech, and then we say it's puzzle. So hashta now. In other words, the etzim bringing the blood inside doesn't make a puzzle. When it becomes puzzle, only if you sprayed it on the inner mizbech. So hashta now. Maho, some he brought the blood inside, and yet that's not an aveda. It's not possible. That's not possible. You shouldn't, but it's not possible unless you spray in his beach. So having a machshav of bringing inside, you're telling me it makes it possible. So we got contradictory prices here. Keep it in, like keep it like. That's nothing. And you're right. Today to know you leave it Rabbi Yehuda. Two opinions in Rabbi Yehuda. Anyway, right. Sorry, what did we just learn? Rabbi Yehuda holds that a chatas you shut in the wrong part of the mizbeach. Yeah, hey, chai, you get malchus. Let me ask a question. But Tanya, we learned elsewhere, Rabbi Yehuda says, Yochel, I would have thought, chatas sheshachta bedarim. I would have thought a korban chatas that you shechted on the south side, yeah, hey, chayiv. I would have thought you should be chayiv. Talmud loimer, loisir, said, there shouldn't have a bamum. Kol davara. Any bad things. So this price says, Al dovara at the mechayva only a mum begola you get malchus. You have mechayva chatas shot bedarim, but you won't get chalik if you shot on the wrong side. It's not nikkur. It's not evident that in the animal anything happened wrong. So that you don't get malchus. Contradiction. So the Gemara today Tanoy li Rabbi Yehuda. Obviously, he had a problem that his talmidim just couldn't make up mind what he said. So you have two different Tanoy what Rabbi Yehuda said, opposite each other. Rabba says, even though Rabbi Yehuda says we had a machshava of just leaving the food till tomorrow, leaving the blood until tomorrow, he says that's called pigul. But nevertheless, Rabbi Yehuda, we had before that if you have a machshava pigul, let's say during shchita, and then by Kabbalah, when accepting the blood, you had a machshava of something else, which is possible, then it cancels each other out. It's no longer pigul. So he says here, if you had a machshava of hanuach, and the next thing you had a machshava of pigul, you can have chutz. Let's say by shchita you had a machshava, you're going to leave the blood till tomorrow. And then when it came to Kabbalah, you had in mind, you know what? We're going to spray the blood. I'm going to actually spray the blood tomorrow, which is pigul of chutz mana, which you get karas. He's made that it does become pigul. That this first psul of hanacha is not considered a psul in respect to the second machshava pigul. Say, oh, it's the second machshava psul and nothing happens. No, I'll prove it to you. Every pigul like that. Remember, if you had a machshava pigul by shchita, it doesn't take effect until you actually do the zrika. Remember, you have to finish all the material. When you did the zrika, then retrospectively it becomes pigul. If you never did the zrika, then somebody eats from it or whatever. There's no chorus, there's no pigul. Peda. So every pigul, you're ready. So at this stage, when you did the shchita, what is it like? It's like hanacha. every pigul has in it a machshava of hanacha, because it's not considered pigul until you did this actual zrika. So kaidem is that, what is it? It's like I planned to leave it. The fact that I had in mind to sprinkle it make no difference because I didn't do it. So I'm going to tell you the pigul lifnei zika like klumut, nothing, and yet va'asa zika v'kabel pigul. And then you have another thought of when you actually physically spray the blood, it becomes retrospective. So you see, he's like 2 stages. That's not raya. It's one machshava of spraying the blood. Now, physically, it takes 2 pots. Today machshavas. There's no raya here. You had one machshava, I'm just going to leave the blood till tomorrow, and then another machshava, the next step, I'm going to spray the blood tomorrow. So that's different. No raya one way or another. Abun asked a question we learned before. So depends. If you had in mind to spray the wrong part of the mizbeach, depends. If you had in mind to do it straight away, kosher. It's kosher, right? Why? Because what's wrong? That's a normal machshava. You have in mind to spray. But chazer v'chishav chuslu. So the next step, let's say by kabbalah of the blood, or by the halach of the blood, you had in mind to eat it outside of his place, either sprinkling it or in the outside, or that's called the normal case of pigul, which is chutzul mekayim. It's not called pigul chutzul mekayim. They ain't bekaris. If you had a machutz amount of pigul chal because there's no other machshava canceling it. You just had stamp thoughts. If you initially when you shechted, I thought I'll do it tomorrow, right? Is possible cause of a chishav? Yeah. So you had in mind, let's say, you had in mind. The you had in mind you're going to spray it tomorrow, and then tashchita, which is the normal case of pigul.
I'm going to stand and be mamaras.
No, you won't. So you didn't think that far. You just thought tomorrow I'm going to spray the blood. So that's the normal case of pigul. But then the next activity, But then the next step, you have another thought. What do you call it? It's also, but there's no kaddish anymore because you had 2 thoughts. One thought of you're going to do it, the machar, and here, and another one. So the first one is only hanacha. The first one is you're going to do is tomorrow. And then you had another thought of pigul, whatever it is, and we say it's thought apostle. Now, if you remember, we learned before the Gemara when you had in mind below, above, below. We said that if you hold that loyma kaima, who it's not really the right place, what's the problem? The problem is it's like Rabbi Yehuda Hinuach, no different than Hinuach. Just I'm not going to do anything with it. It's as if I said I'm not doing anything with it until tomorrow. So the first thought is hanacha, then your second thought is pigul, and yet it says you don't get kaddish anymore because it's 2 contradictory thoughts. Kasha Rababa, to you to Taka rejected. If you had in mind that Talmudic people should eat it tomorrow, so you know what tomorrow is pigul, you're chayv. You had in mind Talmudic people to do that. So l'chayda and l'chayda Talmudic people are not supposed to eat it. So why is that pigul? Nevertheless, because you're thinking that the food should be eaten tomorrow, you're chayv. Amar said, Robert, I'll prove to you the basar leaf ne zrika, because meat before the zrika lechazi is also not suitable. Before you sprinkle the blood, nobody can eat the meat. And yet, if you thought about it, that state should do pigul. We say that it's a good pigul. Nobody can eat it. Another matter, it's still pigul. Same thing here. I had in mind tmeim she attack they're not allowed to eat it. But the fact is that I had in mind for tomorrow it should be eaten. That's pigul. How do you bring that out? Everything Rabbi said in this page here, they're going to reject. But it's not so. Hasam zorik umirzi. It's not that it's not raw yet. You still have to do another stage to make it mutter. You spray it, it becomes mutter. So of course the pigul is chal. Here, what do you have? Tmeim should eat it. They cannot eat it at all. There was an expression in the that he used to say like saying it. Let's say the flesh of Pesach, the carbon of Pesach, he didn't roast it, so you're not allowed to eat it yet. And the bread of a carbon you're not allowed to eat until you give the kohen his share. If you didn't do that yet, nevertheless, if you ate it while you were tummy, even though it's not yet really a carbon, it's not yet really kodesh for a carbon properly. And because you're not allowed to eat it, but if you ate it while you're tummy, you're chayv. Why? Because the blood of the carbon was already sprayed. Okay, you still have to give the challah to the truma, but let's say this, or the basa pesach has to be roasted. But as far as the carbon is concerned, you already did the zrika, you completed the job. So even though you can't eat it yet, but if a tummy eats it, it's called truma saguf, and you're chayv. I'll prove it to you. The time we learn, it says in the pasuk, Asher Hashem. It says if a person eats from the Zevach Shlomim, Asher Hashem, and he has tummy. What's Asher Hashem? What Asher Hashem? The rabbi is to teach you that a muri kaching kalim letumah. Comes to teach you that yechayiv karas if you ate while you're tummy, even though it belongs to Hashem, the extra Hashem. That what? That even though it's not shaykh to you, but if you were tummy and you ate it, you're chayiv. I've got labin echilin. No, you're not supposed to eat the chayav in aleim. B'shub tumah. I'm saying over here. I've got labin echilin. No, you can't eat the chalas because you didn't give it to the kohen. Chayav b'shub tumah. So again, v'lohi 3 times it was rejected. Some a moody kachik kalam is suitable chol pachas chazal. It belongs to the Eibishter, so it's food for the Eibishter, and you ate it while your tummy is chayiv. Lafuki basa pedal hutzla, but the bread a carbon Pesach wasn't roasted people to eat, and nobody can. You can't do anything with it. It doesn't belong in his bech. It doesn't belong to you. It doesn't belong in his bech. So it's nothing. So if you, but yeah, so therefore, if you told me you didn't give the coin his part, nobody can eat it. So therefore, your tumas aguf, you're not going to be chayiv as tumah because it's not yet ready to be eaten. Exactly. Adna lo kol apsulin. Go to the next Mishnah. We'll just do the Mishnah. Beis Shammai says, call by a korban chatas, you have to sprinkle on all 4 corners. Other kabbanas on 2 corners. Call hanitin amazbech achitzin. Any korban you have to spray on the outside. Shenitin b'matona achas. That by mistake, all kabbanas except chatas, he did 1 instead of 2. Keep it. But the Evid, it's a kapara. Uvechatas, you need 4. But the Evid, shtei matanas, 2 is enough. Basil says, no, all of them. It's uniform. 1 is enough. Avchatas, she needs a matanach, keep it. But the Evid, 1 is enough. Therefore, since 1 is enough, let's say you did the first one correctly. So, but the Evid, you're ready for finish your zrika. And then by the second, remember by your carbon you have to spray twice. So by the second spraying you had in mind whatever chutzes mana, since you no longer really need a second spraying, therefore nothing happens. It's like you're ready after the event, you're thinking bad thoughts. Keep it. The im nasan is a shayna, but if you did the first one chutzes mana, and the shni, the second spray chutzes mekayim, we've said before, one thought cancels the other, but here the second one doesn't count. Pigel, the chayom the kares. Your first thought is the main one because by the Evid that's good enough, and therefore it's pigul. And according to Shammai, by chatas it's 2 out of the 3, out of the 4. Kol hanitin ala mizbeach hapnimi. Anything, but mizbeach hapnimi is different. There, whatever you need is ma'akiv. You need all of them. So anything belongs to mizbeach hapnimi. Even 1 corner is missing, is kilo kippur, as if you didn't complete the job. There in the mizbeach hapnimi, you have to do all the chatchila and b'dei Evid. Levichach nasan kula tikukuna. If you did them all right, the achas shaloi kitikuna. So if you did 1 not right, it is possible. Why? Because you need all 4 before it's chal. So there's nobody evidence here. And then as a result of that, if only at 1 of the spraying you had in mind chutzas manu, since it's only a half of activity, it's not chai pigul. It's the whole spraying you have to have in mind chutzas manu. Here, the whole spraying is 4 corners. So if you only had in mind during 1 of the 4 corners, that's not called chutzas manu. Okay, the Gemara tomorrow will explain the shit of Beis Shammai.